As someone who didn't finish high school, I had to make a tough choice. Accept a demotion or lose my job. Emily, our new sales manager, announced big changes. From now on, only college graduates could handle client deals. The rest of us would be assigned tasks like making coffee or cleaning. Anyone who disagreed would face demotion or even be fired. It was clear that Emily wanted me gone. She had no intention of keeping me at the company. I knew what leaving would mean for Noah Corporation, but I decided to quit anyway. Just as I expected, the company fell into chaos. The $800 million deal with JTG Holdings was left unfinished because Emily didn't realize I was the one managing it. She would soon find out the truth. My name is Patrick Wilson. I'm 64 years old and work in the sales department at Noah Corporation, a company in the wholesale business with $40 billion in annual revenue. My job was to manage contracts with regular clients, mostly from my desk, since I'm too old for field sales or cold calls. Occasionally, I would attend meetings outside the office. Emily Watson, the new sales manager, seemed to hold a grudge against me. She had earned her position with an impressive degree from Columbia and was promoted just as I was rehired after retiring. Her promotion might have made her resentful of my return. One day, she approached my desk. "How's work going, Patrick?" she asked. "It's going well," I replied. She gave a sly smile and said, "Not making much progress, are you? Reading documents must be hard with your aging eyesight." I stayed calm, even though her comment stung. It's true that about half of retirees like me get rehired, so my situation wasn't unusual. I admitted my eyesight wasn't as sharp as the younger staff, but I didn't let her get under my skin. Emily didn't stop there. "You should have stayed retired. You weren't much help even before you left. Is it because you didn't finish high school and can't afford to live? You're just stealing a paycheck. I know not having a high school diploma makes people see me differently. In a world where education is so important, being a 62-year-old high school dropout isn't common. It's hard to be taken seriously, especially when I've never been able to reach a managerial role." Emily, our sales manager, had been reminding me of this for the past 3 years, ever since she got promoted. It was clear she wanted me out of the company. One day, she placed a pile of documents on my desk. "Here's some extra work for you," she said. "You should be grateful." I already had my own tasks to handle, but she seemed to think I wasn't doing enough. Looking at the extra workload, I sighed, realizing it would mean staying late again. "Understand?" she asked with a smirk. "You're surprisingly obedient. Even with your long career, being a high school dropout means you have to follow orders from younger people. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes." Her words made the room feel tense, and her dismissive tone left me feeling uneasy. A few days later, Emily called the sales team together for a meeting. She announced a shocking new plan. "From now on, you'll only handle paperwork," she said to us. "And make sure to serve tea to the college graduates so they can work comfortably." I tried to speak up. "But I have ongoing deals I'm responsible for." Emily interrupted me sharply. "Those deals will be handled by the college graduates. As a high school dropout, you don't need to worry about them. Now, go get some tea." She then turned to another employee and said, "You'll be in charge of keeping the entire building spotless. No dust allowed." When the employee protested, saying they also had deals to manage, Emily snapped, "I've already told you, the deals will be managed by the college graduates. Don't make me repeat myself." Her reasoning for the new assignments didn't make sense to anyone in the room. Seeing the confusion on our faces, Emily tried to explain further. "From now on, high school dropouts and graduates will do the grunt work," she said. "College graduates will manage all the deals. This is the most efficient way to run things. Does anyone have a problem with this plan?" She looked around the room, daring anyone to speak up. "Feel free to share your thoughts or concerns if you have any questions about the new system," she added, though her tone made it clear she wasn't really open to feedback. When someone finally spoke up, they said, "If we suddenly replace the person handling these deals, our clients might lose trust in us." Emily snapped back, "That's exactly why uneducated people are useless. Clients don't trust them and want someone better in charge. Don't you understand that?" The employee fell silent, unable to argue further. Emily continued, If you can't accept these changes, you'll be transferred to our distribution center in South Dakota. If that doesn't suit you, you're free to leave." The room went quiet. Everyone knew about the distribution center in South Dakota. It was infamous for dull, repetitive work like sorting and moving packages all day. The pay there was lower than at headquarters, so no one wanted to be sent there. Even if it meant doing basic tasks like cleaning or making tea, employees preferred to stay at headquarters. I couldn't understand how Emily's decisions would help Noah Corporation. Finally, I spoke up, unable to hold back. Changing the person handling ongoing deals will only make clients trust us less. There's a rhythm to these transactions, and disrupting it will create problems. Emily shot me an icy glare. "What's your problem?" she demanded. Her harsh tone caught me off guard, and I could only manage an awkward smile. As someone without a high school diploma, I'd grown used to moments like this. Emily's victorious smirk made it clear she believed she'd won. "People like you, who didn't even finish school, have limited options," she said coldly. "You're past your prime and bring no value to the company. There's no reason to keep you here." Her words stunned me, but they weren't surprising. Emily had been targeting me from the start. Whether you have a diploma or not, it seems people like me are always pushed into menial tasks. My age only gave her more reasons to want me out of the company. I thought about her threats. "I don't mind working in South Dakota," I said, trying to keep my tone steady. "They often need part-time workers there. I'm sure they'd appreciate a full-time employee like me. But let's be honest. If someone like me, a 62-year-old grandfather, shows up, they might think I'm not a good fit for the job." Emily laughed. "So, what's your plan then?" I hesitated, weighing my options. It was clear this whole situation was Emily's decision alone. The CEO and HR probably didn't know about these changes. If they did, I doubted they'd approve of them. I could report Emily, but honestly, I was exhausted by her constant hostility. I had saved enough for retirement, so leaving didn't seem like such a bad idea. After a moment, I said, "I'll quit." Emily pretended to look disappointed. "If you wanted to keep working, you should have gone to the distribution center," she said. The other employees were shocked. One of them tried to speak up. "Quiet," Emily snapped. "Lower-level staff should stay out of this." Her response showed she didn't care about the growing tension. I didn't see any point in arguing further after the way I'd been treated. "Should I write my resignation letter?" I asked. Emily nodded. "Yes, do that. At least you know how to handle that at your age." I quickly wrote the resignation letter, feeling strange about how it had all ended. I never thought my time at the company would end like this. When I asked about the handover process, Emily shrugged it off. "No need for that. You only handle paperwork anyway." Her tone was dismissive, and she seemed eager to see me leave. She even chuckled as if she had been waiting for this moment for a long time. I thanked her and left. The other employees looked worried, but Emily didn't seem to notice. She was too busy enjoying her small victory. I knew that without me, chaos would soon follow, and it would be her problem to fix. The next day, while I was relaxing at home, Emily kept calling me. I ignored her at first, but she was relentless. Finally, I answered. "Patrick, what's going on?" she demanded, skipping any pleasantries. Her tone made it clear that the company was in trouble. She explained the situation. Apparently, she had created a department where only college graduates handled deals, managing to divide the work without the HR department or CEO knowing. For a while, she thought everything was going smoothly and was proud of herself. "Please," she said, her tone now desperate. "I need you to handle the $800 million deal with JTG Holdings. They bring in $2 billion in annual revenue, and continuing this relationship is critical for the company." There was an uncomfortable silence after her request. "Isn't the $800 million deal happening today?" she asked. "All our deals are now managed by college graduates. It's bound to succeed, so there's no need to worry." But the employees exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, one of my former coworkers spoke up. "Manager Emily, he resigned yesterday." Emily's face fell. "What? Are you saying he was in charge of the $800 million deal?" The truth hit her hard. "There's no way someone inexperienced can handle something so big," she muttered, trying to deny the reality. But the employees knew the truth and couldn't change it. Hoping to fix the situation, Emily turned to one of the employees. "You have a Stanford degree, don't you? You can take over the deal, right?" The employee hesitated, looking nervous. Finally, he admitted quietly, "I don't think I'm ready for this. I think the client will only be satisfied if Patrick handles it," the young man told Emily. "Enough," Emily snapped. "If I say do it, then do it. If an uneducated dropout can manage it, so can you." Her frustration was obvious. The young man reluctantly agreed, but when he contacted the client, they insisted on speaking with me. He reported back to Emily. "I told you, the client wants Patrick," he said. Emily was shocked. How could they possibly want someone like him? A high school dropout? What could he contribute, especially without the energy to make sales? She asked, clearly baffled. One of my colleagues stepped in. "Aren't you aware of Patrick's impressive career? His resume might not be fancy, but he's highly respected in the industry. Many major companies work with us because of him." Emily, who was only 23 and a recent graduate, had been in the same department for 3 years. She had always focused on my lack of formal education and ignored my reputation because she didn't like me. No one dared to bring up my background in her presence. "What do you mean?" Emily asked, now curious. "If you only look at resumes, you might not understand his background," my colleague explained. "But Patrick is very well known. Many large companies choose to work with us because of him." Realizing it wasn't appropriate to share more, my colleague stopped talking. Emily, who had fired me just the day before, now found herself calling me in desperation. "What's going on?" she asked, clearly upset. I decided to explain calmly. "It's true that I'm somewhat known in the industry. I inherited my sales talent from my grandfather, who was also a CEO. Thanks to him, many companies continued to trust and do business with me. Nearly 41 years ago, I handled major deals with top trading companies. Back then, I was considered a legendary salesman." I paused, then continued, "My story started when I was in middle school. My grandfather was the CEO of Wilson Corporation, a conglomerate with annual revenues of over $2 billion. I admired him deeply and used to help out during my school vacations, doing simple tasks like making tea and cleaning. Those tasks might have seemed small, but I was thrilled to be part of his company. While others chose to pursue higher education, I was determined to work for my grandfather. It was a risky decision, but I was serious about it. I convinced my parents and grandfather to let me work and study at the same time. I joined Wilson Corporation right after middle school, doing basic tasks until I turned 21. I loved every moment of it. When I finally got a chance to work in sales, I felt excited beyond words. It wasn't an easy journey. Securing contracts was tough, and I had to improve my approach constantly. But I never gave up. When I secured my first contract, the feeling was incredible. For the first time, I truly felt like a salesman. My skills started improving quickly, and by the time I was 26, I landed a major deal with a big company. This was a turning point for me. I learned the secret to success, understanding clients' needs and offering solutions that worked for them. This approach helped their businesses grow, and soon word spread that working with me always meant profit. Deals started flowing in, and the sales manager began trusting me with bigger responsibilities. Companies began requesting me by name, and I made sure to close those deals while building trust both within my company and with clients. I quickly became the top salesman, and even executives from major firms knew my name. My performance brought me praise and job offers from other companies, but I stayed loyal to Wilson Corporation because I loved my grandfather's company. I worked hard to make every deal profitable, and many young salespeople looked up to me. Even though I never bragged about my success, I knew people considered me a legend in the industry. When my grandfather retired at the age of 76, the executive vice president took over as CEO. My father wasn't interested in running the company, and at just 28, I was too young to take on that role. As the company changed under new leadership, it wasn't the same place I had known since middle school. I felt sad watching those changes and eventually decided to start fresh somewhere else. After ensuring all my responsibilities were handed over properly, I left Wilson Corporation. Despite receiving many offers from big companies, I joined Noah Corporation when I was 37. Since then, I've worked in sales at Noah Corporation. I stepped back from high-profile roles to give younger employees a chance to shine. Over the years, I secured all the company's major clients. Because of this, it's no surprise they now refuse to continue their deals without me. I focused so much on closing deals that I didn't have time for administrative tasks, which is why I never held an official managerial title. However, my salary was equal to that of managers. I had started gradually passing my responsibilities to younger employees, but being forced to resign so suddenly meant I couldn't properly say goodbye or complete the handover process. Now, clients are refusing to move forward without me. Emily was furious. "Why didn't you tell me all this earlier?" she demanded. "I did ask if a handover was necessary," I replied calmly. "If it was so important, you should have made it clear." Emily then said I needed to inform the clients about the handover and convince them to continue doing business with Noah Corporation. I refused. Building trust is the foundation of business, and if I reached out to clients about internal issues after resigning, they would lose confidence in the company and the deals would fall apart quickly. Noah Corporation's annual revenue is $4 billion, but $2.5 billion of that comes from deals I had secured. The $800 million deal was already in jeopardy, and at this rate, the company could face serious trouble. "Come back to Noah Corporation," Emily said, her tone urgent. "I'll talk to HR, report to work immediately." I declined. "Even if I come back, you'll still treat me like a burden. I can't work under someone who judges people only by their resumes and education." Emily's frustration was obvious. She had realized that the company's biggest deals came from my connections and was terrified of losing them. That's why she was so desperate to bring me back, even after firing me. I decided to be honest. Every day, I was insulted for being a high school dropout. I was pushed aside and treated unfairly. I can't work under someone who only cares about degrees and resumes. Even if I agreed to save the deals, you just see me as a burden again. I doubted Emily would truly change. Her inability to build trust was her own problem. "Is that all?" I asked. "Since I've retired, I'd like to relax." Before she could respond, I hung up and blocked her number. Later, I heard that Noah Corporation was in serious trouble. Not only was the $800 million deal affected, but I had also been managing other big deals worth $600 million, $200 million, and $2 billion. When I missed meetings with those clients, they became suspicious. After checking with Noah Corporation employees, they discovered that I had retired. As a result, clients began canceling their contracts, saying there was no point in continuing without me. Noah Corporation started losing its biggest clients one by one. While the company could still handle smaller deals, losing several major ones was a huge blow. A week later, Mr. Noah, the CEO, called me in. I wouldn't have responded to Emily's requests, but Mr. Noah was different. He had supported me for nearly 33 years. When I arrived at the office, I saw Emily sitting quietly in a corner, looking dejected. Mr. Noah sat at his desk, looking troubled. He sighed deeply and said, "We had no idea she changed the sales department's operations. The decision to restructure was unauthorized. I'm truly sorry for what happened. Please don't worry about it, Mr. Noah," I said. "You've always been good to me." Then, turning to Emily, Mr. Noah said firmly, "Apologize to him." "I'm very sorry," Emily said, barely holding back tears. It was clear Mr. Noah had severely scolded her for her actions. The changes she made had no approval, and I couldn't help but feel bad for Mr. Noah, who now had to handle the mess. Mr. Noah continued, "Our company is in serious trouble. We're losing major contracts quickly. If this keeps happening, our business will collapse. We can still cancel your resignation if you're willing to come back." "I don't mind returning," I said, "but I have one condition." "What is it?" Mr. Noah asked, looking worried. I turned to Emily, whose face had gone pale. "You're fired," I said. Emily immediately objected. "Wait, you don't have to go that far. Do you understand the impact your actions had on me and the entire sales department?" I asked her. "This is a large company. If you lose your job, it will be hard to find a similar position elsewhere. But you brought this on yourself." Emily tried to defend herself. I've always been a valuable employee. I graduated from a prestigious university and have been a top performer. How can you fire me based on your personal judgment? Enough, Mr. Noah said firmly, cutting her off. Still unwilling to accept her termination, Emily continued, Wait, Mr. Noah. Dismissing me is unfair. I've contributed to this company ever since I joined as a new graduate. Do you understand what this decision means? Mr. Noah glared at her. You made changes on your own without thinking about how they would affect your employees. That's unacceptable. Emily fell silent. I then spoke to her directly. I may be older and my strength isn't what it used to be, but there's a limit to how much disrespect I can take. Being a high school dropout allowed me to learn the company's ways early and become an expert in sales faster than most. Yet, you mocked me without understanding my circumstances. Emily trembled but said nothing. I can return to the company, I continued, handle the transition, and apologize to our clients, but only if you step down. If not, I'm happy to stay retired. The responsibility for all my work will then fall on you. I paused for a moment, looking at Emily. Honestly, I'm fine with either option. I had enough savings for my retirement, so I asked, What's your decision? Can you act on it now? Mr. Noah thought about my proposal. Emily, biting her lip in frustration, realized she couldn't fix this mess without my help. As more contracts were canceled, she stood there silently, overwhelmed and unable to respond. Finally, Mr. Noah nodded and said, Very well. She will be terminated. Emily pleaded, Please wait. I've contributed so much to this company. Mr. Noah's expression hardened. Your reckless actions almost caused a $2.5 billion loss. Do you understand the consequences? Faced with his stern words, Emily shrank back. Write your resignation letter and leave. Don't come back tomorrow, he said firmly. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Emily tearfully wrote her resignation letter. She left Noah Corporation that day and never returned. Despite her education, Emily struggled to find a new job. Word had spread about her role in my resignation, and even when she got interviews, her arrogance worked against her. After 7 months of unemployment and countless rejections, she eventually accepted a part-time job, earning far less than she had at Noah Corporation. As for me, I returned to Noah Corporation and took charge of the major contracts once again. I personally apologized to the clients, which helped rebuild their trust. The employees who had been worried about the company's future felt reassured when I came back. News of my return spread, and with my sincere apologies, we successfully restored the canceled contracts. It also became clear that Emily had been arrogant in her dealings with clients, and they found it much easier to work with us after her dismissal. Noah Corporation became more manageable, and I could see the potential for growth. I plan to retire at 66, and if the company continues on this path, it will expand even after I leave. My career will end on a high note. Although I left my grandfather's company years ago, I'm thankful I joined Noah Corporation. With only a few years left, I'm determined to give my best effort and finish my career strong. I want to leave behind a legacy of success, putting my heart into my work and ensuring the company thrives even after I'm gone.